Sorptimist International of the Americas is an organization made up of business and professional women, and those women come together in their local communities to work on projects that improve the lives of women and girls. Human trafficking is really a term that's used to describe what we really call modern-day slavery. We've used the word trafficking for years, and it's the word that they use at the UN, but the problem with the word trafficking is that it really gives you this idea about movement, as if people need to be moved around for it to be trafficking. But the truth of the matter is it's just slavery. So any time that someone's exploited for somebody else's gain, it's a form of human trafficking. And at Sorptimist, we focus on sex trafficking because 79% of the victims of human trafficking end up in the commercial sex industry.
Human trafficking is considered one of the worst forms of violence against women. The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime estimates that there's approximately 2.5 million people that are entrapped in slavery right now, and that about 600,000 to 800,000 individuals fall into that category each year.
There has a long time been a thought that this happens someplace else. It's a problem in another country. It only happens in the third world. But the truth of the matter is it happens everywhere. What happens to women who are trafficked, I mean, it really depends on what kind of industry they end up in. But there's deception involved. And they tend to think that they are, if it's international trafficking, that they're going overseas for a legitimate job. And then once they get to the United States or whatever country that they've been trafficked to, their papers are taken and they're beaten and raped repeatedly. And it's a way of demoralizing them and making them feel that they have no value anymore and that they have no rights and they have no way out. And so the psychological and physical torture that exists for women who have been trafficking, I mean, to most of us, it's impossible to think about or understand or even fathom.
People who are being trafficked, they are restricted in their freedom of movement. They are often find themselves in what's called debt bondage, where their very price that they've been purchased for is something that they have to work off by their debt. And oftentimes they're working off that debt by having sex with as many as 6, 10, or even up to 30 men a day. It's very difficult for most of us to tell if someone is being trafficked, where law enforcement, social service agencies, and healthcare workers can become more attuned to the signs of people being trafficked. But you can look for signs of post-traumatic stress syndrome. These people often are said to look dead in the eyes. They're often supervised very closely by someone with them. And there can just be a general suspicion and fear from the individual that might lead you to suspect that something is not right. The easiest way for women and girls to prevent themselves from being trafficked is to be educated, have economic opportunities for advancement, because this is often how these girls and women fall victim.
I mean, we do a lot of work with girls and raising self-esteem and helping girls feel like they're valuable, and I think that that's key.
There are a variety of organizations. Some of them have very specialized areas of help. Some are working most heavily in the advocacy area, trying to get laws changed and policies enforced. Others are concentrating on victim assistance, providing services, job opportunities to get people out of the situation. And then others are working mostly on public awareness and prevention programs in some of the Eastern European countries, in some of the Asian countries, where it's become almost commonplace, in Thailand, for instance, to sell one of your children into slavery so that they can provide for the rest of the family.
When we decided on an awareness-raising campaign, we did that because we felt like the first step in getting enough people active was that more people needed to know about the problem. I think right now in the United States, the Health and Human Services runs a 24-hour hotline. And so anyone that's a victim of trafficking can call that number, or anyone who suspects that there's an incident of trafficking going on in their community can use that number.